Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just get this thing started. Um, I have about an hour before I have to hop off here and go for and start a meeting. But I did want to get started on this mix session thingy here, uh, this thing right here, um, because it's really just easier for me to start and come back to it later. So yeah, this session here is my audio for Jolene The Eldritch One. If you haven't listened to it, it's dumb, I guess. But I wanted to record something and I was bored, so I made this cover. Um, Programmed the drums, found some sound effects, played bass, played some guitar, played some more guitar, learned the acoustic riff, programmed some synths, forced myself to sing, forced myself to harmonize with myself. And I'm not a good singer, obviously, if you've listened to this. But I tried hard and I tried to tune it up a little bit. So, I want to take a few minutes to kind of break down all the different sounds that I have in this session, the choices that I made in arrangement, and then I'll start working on, putting together the live mix. Now, if we look at my mixer, there it is. I've got no faders are really adjusted, and the only thing that's up here is stuff that was already in my template. So it's just some routing folder stuff and group audio stuff. For my last couple of videos, I've changed my effects channels again, just so it's easier on the processing. For my computer, whenever I get big tracks, it's crazy. So anyways, let's talk about the audio. The drums are all MIDI. I'm not a drummer. I don't have a kit here. I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do. So I just laid it all out there. It's Steven Slate digital drums. I don't know exactly what kit it is, but they sound like this right out of the box. Actually, they don't sound like that right out of the box. They sound like that with whatever little bit of processing I have. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bypass all of my inserts. There we go. All right, did that work? Bypass all insert. Oh, of the visible channels. That's stupid. Bypass all the EQs. Bypass all the channel strips. Okay. There we go. So that's what they sound like right out of the box. It sounds like a drum kit, obviously. I did some work humanizing the MIDI, so it doesn't sound like just everything's 127 velocity and just right locked to the grid. And if I zoom in, you can kind of see some of that human variation in the tracks. Like it's not perfectly on the grid. There's some snares that are behind and above and in front of the beat. So that just makes it a little bit more human, stuff like that. I'm going to skip over my screams tracks. I dumped all of my samples that I used for just sound effects type stuff here in the percussion folder because I'm not using any other percussion, but here. So since I'm making this an H.P. Lovecraft-esque version of the song, I wanted to make it kind of scary and horrific. And the best way to do that is screaming. Because if Jolene is, abducting people and is a terrible, horrific monster, then obviously people would be screaming and running in fear. Bass. These are all the same DI. This is what it sounds like. I'm not a bass player, so I just played very, very simple parts. And the bass that I used was an Ibanez something or other. Sound. This little guy right here. And I'll make the camera bigger for you. It's an Ibanez Road Gear bass, 4-string. And I took out the active circuitry in it. So these two knobs do nothing. It's just volume and a pickup blend. So it's fine. Not great, not terrible. It's fine. I would much rather have like a P bass, and that's something I'm probably going to invest in later on. But it's there. All right, let's go to other tracks. Here's my main rhythm guitar track. So that, and this is a similar track. Just kind of doubling up on the chorus right there to thicken it up. That is this little guy. It's a purple Partscaster Telecaster tuned to drop A. I don't know why I tuned it to drop A. I know why I did that. I was trying to learn some Thrice songs, like their song Nash off their new album, because that's in drop A. So I had this thing set up to drop A, and I just used it for my main thick rhythm tone because I decided that I really like Thrice, and I wanted to make this a Thrice-esque version of the song. And yes, I call this guitar Barney because he's a purple dinosaur. And I'm a child, obviously. Okay, my other rhythm guitar, or my other main guitar, is this lead guitar track. That is a Sterling Music Man Stingray single cut. I'm not going to pick it up because I don't care. But so here's the thing. All of these guitar tones are Tonex. So I tracked the main rhythm guitars through my little Tonex pedal right here into my Avid Inbox Studio interface. And I just used a Tonex profile that I made of that little amp back there, which is a Seriatone OTS 20. So it's supposed to be kind of a Dumble. Let's see if I can. Yeah, this little guy right back here. Below that is an isolation cab with a Marshall 2x12 that I put in there, and I've got it double mic'd up. I used that profile through that Tonex pedal to record these rhythm guitars. And then as I was doing the lead guitar track, what did I do on this one? I was trying to use something else. Like I wanted to use a different guitar tone to like make it pop and sound weird. But as I was doing it, it just didn't quite work. So this was initially a DI, and then I took my Tonex profile and I slapped the Tonex plugin on top of it and made this guitar tone. And it just seems like it kind of fits better together. And if you want that Tonex profile, you can download it because I uploaded it to ToneX over here. Nope, not the Tonex editor. I just need that. Okay, stupid. ToneX. There we go. And let's see. So if you go to ToneX, go to ToneNet, and you look up Seriatone OTS 20. Nope, that's not it. That one. If you look at the Seriatone OTS 20, that's me right here. I've made a clean version and a dry version right there. You can download them both and use them on your own sessions. There we go. Thumbs up to you. Yeah. Download them, have fun, use them. I used them on this session, and it was fun. Let's see. And then we've got an acoustic guitar, and the acoustic guitar is kind of like, it starts off kind of shitty. Like it's not a very good acoustic guitar. It's a Epiphone master built DR 400, something like that. DRC 400, DRE 400. And it was recorded through this microphone right here, the AKG 214. So this is our first actual mic'd up instrument. And it's fine. It's whatever. I had to learn how to play this part because I'd never actually learned it before. So it's a little rough. Don't listen to it in isolation. And I didn't do much editing at all on this stuff, by the way. A lot of these takes are just kind of like figuring out the part, and then I played it. And that's kind of the extent that I went to it. So parts of it are going to sound a little bit rough and raw. And that's kind of how I wanted it to be, for better or worse. Usually it's just for worse. Let's see. This cello was kind of an afterthought. I just wanted some weird vibey stuff to put in the intro. And that's all the Cubase Opus, whatever it is that comes free with Cubase 13, 14, 15. This synth is, I want to say it's the writing room, the Cubase writing room. And I actually do have, yeah. I think that's just the default writing room preset. And then I threw this on it, the tremolator, to make it kind of pump, because I don't know how to, I'm synth incompetent. So I kind of find a sound that I kind of like, and then I add inserts to it to make it more what I'm going for. There we go. Right like that. And then this Juno thing. This might be the Analog Lab from Arturia. It's Juno plugin. Okay. And then me singing. I'm not even going to play those on their own because I'm self-conscious about it. But these vocal takes were done with me sitting right here with my headphones on into this microphone right here, as best I can. And it was all going through the Avid Inbox Studio preamps. No compression, as you can see. Yeah, that's all the vocal takes, and that's all how the vocal sounds are captured. The harmonies, this is a low harmony that's kind of like halfway between this and the lead. These higher harmonies are me doing a half-assed falsetto, and then there's a whisper track to blend in and make it sound weird. So that's kind of everything. I tried to gain stage as best as I could and make it all match. Yeah, so nothing terribly special. So let's dive into it. And I'm going to start with everything kind of bypass. I'll turn back on my stock stuff. That's part of my template, just so it's already got the little vibe going. And here, let me bring this up so that we can see this track and see everything going on. So I've been playing with my template a little bit more, just trying stuff. And these sessions, doing these covers and like these nonsense sessions, this is where I try and experiment with new stuff. So I'd been using this Lindell 80 bus on my bus channels for a long time, that thing right there. And I wanted to try using go back to using the Slate Virtual Mix Rack stuff. Or not the Mix Rack stuff, the VCC, the console collection. So I've got this slammed across all of my tracks. All of the other processing that I'm experimenting with is bypassed. Same thing here. So this is just kind of like my default starting point from here on in. And I do like these folder tracks that are now in Cubase. They are handy. I will talk about one gripe that seems like it's pretty common. Whenever you close up the folder track, if they're a group folder now, you don't see the volume automation. Or you can click on it and right click and say show data on folder file and it says show automation. But whenever you do that, it hides the folder, like the events, so you don't know where things are in a specific track, especially if you start doing edits and you chop up the empty space. So I made a quick key preference of Option Command F, and it just it switches back and forth between those things. So it makes this inconvenience a little bit more manageable, and a little bit less of an inconvenience. Okay, so let's start mixing. I've got my faders over here, down here that you can't see. I'm gonna go ahead and start right around there. And I'm gonna solo up my drums. Okay, so what I can hear is these rooms are doing something funky to the snare, which I'm not a huge fan of. Let's see. No, not the EQ. I'm going to play with this a little bit. Okay, so real quick, what I'm doing here is putting a little bit of compression on my toms. I am adjusting the gate to get rid of some of that low frequency rumble from the toms ringing out. I took some ugly mid-range away from the snare. Let's see. What's going on there? I don't know what the fuck that is. Yeah, just kind of adjusting my template stuff. I haven't touched the overheads, which I probably should. Really? Maybe. Let's. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Something like that. Just to squeeze the compressors a little bit, or just to squeeze the overheads a little bit, we can listen to those solo. Where the fucking track is? There we go. So opens them up, takes away some of the junky low frequencies. What the fuck am I even doing here? Another mid-range scoop, boosting up where the snare is, taking out some ugly like hi-hat sizzle, and then this is a de-esser track for whenever it comes harder into the chorus. Which let's take a look at a chorus area where the cymbals really come in. As you can see, it's not doing much. This is left over from another song that I was mixing where the crashes were just going like super heavy. And it was just getting a little bit too dynamic in my ears. And so I just used this to kind of take away some of the top end sizzle of a really, really nasty crash. So this is effectively doing nothing. I'm just going to leave it because I want it. All right, so this is kind of my drum sound from here on. Oh, I should also say that I am using a trigger track on my kick sample track. So here is my kick on its own. So that's the kick sound that I used from Slate Trigger. This is the trigger track with a handful of samples on it. So it's not so much about like consistency. Like I just wanted to dial in some extra special sounds as I would with a real drum set. Same thing for the snare top and snare bottom. This is them straight out of Trigger. I'm sorry, this is straight out of Slate Digital Drums. Cool. And I'm not using any samples on the toms, but here's Trigger on those. You can see I've got a couple of different sounds on there. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even blend those things. Silly me. So I'm kind of vibing on that for my just kind of overall sound. Cool. I like that. That works for me. I'm gonna skip down to my bass. I'm gonna just bypass all that. And I'm gonna go ahead and mute, 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 mute. Oh, and here's one other thing I've started doing. I'm not routing my bass to my guitar bus anymore. I'm routing it to my drums. So that way I can really lock in the rhythm section together. And then have the guitars just kind of be compressed and processed on their own. Yeah, I'm experimenting with that. I think it's gonna work out better, more favorably for what I'm trying to do and what I want to do. So this is supposed to be a sub bass track, right? It's got all the sub stuff like that. I don't think I want to use this anymore. I will use this, and maybe I'll come back to that. What's going on here? Yeah, so I'll need that. And let's see what's going on right here. Okay, cool. But now I want to use a different sub bass thing. I think this is what I want to use. The bass one from IK Multimedia. I'm going to bypass those two things real quick. Oh, I gotta check this thing out. Is my gate on here cutting off? Cool. I'll bust that back up too. Now I should have a pretty good sub bassy sound. And let's just So just always, always, always check your phase, because whenever you start doing weird, crazy processing like that, shit starts getting wacky. So let's go my bass bus. See what I'm doing over here. That's in an okay spot. Let's unmute those. And I'm just going to jump straight to the chorus, and we'll just loop this section for a while. Cool, cool, cool. Just some easy peasy guitars. The other thing that I like to do is throw a send on here. So let's feel how good this send is. Interesting. There we go. Now we're hearing it. Okay. Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit of a ring out, a little bit of a tail. Since this is just a guitar in a box, that box specifically, and it's a very dry sound, a little bit of life is cool to add to it. Yeah. So again, me just kind of dumbly riffing around. Let's open up my other two guitars. And let's give a little bit of focus on the acoustic. Okay. So my acoustic guitar is kind of stupid. I'm gonna nope. There we go. I'm gonna solo this up. I'm just gonna kind of do the intro. I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to do a lot of processing to this thing. By the way, just this acoustic guitar, and because I'm not a great finger style player, and I have my strumming on the same track as my finger style, it's got a very dynamic tone to it. And if I wasn't in such a rush to make this, and I was a little bit more thoughtful with it, I would probably broken it up into a couple of different tracks. I probably could still do that in the mix, and just do that editing right here. And I may, but right now I'm feeling kind of lazy, and I just want to get the vibe going. So, where was I? Oh yeah, let's play with this acoustic guitar. Okay, so it's better. It's just not, great. kill the code, you stupid idiot. I don't want to do that. I think I want to use a multi-band compressor on this one. There we go. All right, you haven't heard me sing yet, so let's not even try to compare it to the Beyonce version. It needs some of that. All right, so that's feeling pretty good as far as the instrumental is concerned, I think. Let's talk about this. So real quick, the mix that is on YouTube currently is the mix that I did in my writing template. So I've got like a dozen different templates of stuff. My writing template is just very bare bones, and so I did all the processing in on that, and it's fine, it's whatever. But I wanted to use my mixing template for it, just to really dial this thing in and have some fun with it and experiment with some different types of processing. But one of the things that I kept over from my mixing or from my writing template to this one was this processing that I had on this particular synth with the tremolator, which is just a square shape, you know, to make it sound just to do that. And then whatever this compressor is and whatever this EQ is, I just left that all in there because I was like, this is my sound. I like the sound. Let's keep it like this. If I was going to send this off to somebody else to mix, I would have actually rendered down these inserts on the track to give to whoever. see what's going on with this cello. So this thing is just supposed to kind of give some creepy texture. I'm going to go ahead and, yeah, let's just use frequency on it. I'm not going to need a whole bunch of that. Let's get boosting some mid-range to give it a little bit of more punch. I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of volume automation just to make some parts sit better. So it's more dynamic. And that's part of the fun, I think, that this song, or at least this version of the song, brings to the table, is there's a lot of room to play with dynamics and volume automation. I just kind of put everything same level, all of that stuff. And the goal, your goal, if you mix this, and you want to have fun mixing this, is to build the dynamics in for each different section. So this synth in particular is there to be felt and not heard, really. It's just kind of a way to fill out the sound, because what I wanted out of this arrangement in particular is to feel like it's just, 4 people playing in a band and making this song happen. So if we took that part out, right, it's the goal is for it to just kind of fill in some extra space, to make it just big and epic and pop and all of that. Yeah, and that's really all you need to do with it. All right. I've got nothing on my synth bus. That's probably a good thing. My Juno, I don't think really needs much more additional processing. This synth, I think, is probably fine. But you know what? I'm going to give it a little extra love anyway. yeah, very, very subtle stuff in there for that chorus. Like I want it to be a full band showcase, not a weird synthy thing. We are gonna do a quick fade automation in on that. Cool, that's how it's supposed to go. My sins. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. Something like that. Let's see. So we've got all that. I'm going to come back to the screams later because that's going to be like the bonus stuff. Yes, it's time for vocals. Vocals. I don't have to do vocals, do I? Fuck. Do vocals. I'll do this vocal. Do I want to do that? Yeah, I'll do that vocal. I'll start with this one because it's kind of dynamic. And I already know that I'm probably going to need some. Where's my pitch corrector? Pitch correct. There we go. So I'm going to use this one. Internal. Chord track scales. Let's use that. Speed. Quick. See how that is. By waking breath, eyes closed against the threat of death. She waits for us in darkest night, Jolene. The closer that you get to her, the more the edges seem to blur into something that cannot be called Jolene. Slow that down a little bit. Okay, so I do have a chord track up here, and so this is all of my stuff. The cool thing about the chord track is, on Cubase, is that after you enter it, at some point it's going to tell you what key you're in. So somehow this is in B major, based off of the chords that I entered. I figured it would be C sharp minor. My music theory is junk, So I'm just going to go with this. With flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. For years our town's been terrorized by the beast who takes disguise inside the shell that calls itself Jolene. Our sleep is disturbed by quaking breath, eyes closed against the threat of death. She waits for us in darkest night, Jolene. The closer that you get to her, the more the edges seem to blur to something that cannot be called Jolene. Is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with skin and eyes of emerald green. For years our town's been terrorized by the beast who takes disguise inside the shell that calls itself Jolene. Our sleep disturbed by quaking breath, eyes closed against the threat of death. She waits for us in darkest night, Jolene. The closer that you get to her, the more the edges seem to blur into something that cannot be called Jolene. Beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. For years our town's been terrorized by the beast who takes disguise inside the shell that calls itself Jolene. Our sleep disturbed by quaking breath, eyes closed against the threat of death. She waits for us in darkest night, Jolene. The closer that you get to her, the more the edges seem to blur into something that cannot be called Jolene. Beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Okay. So then it doesn't do anything right over there. So let's go over here to verse 3. No. I'm going to mute those for the second. Your teeth are sharp, your mouth agape. The claws rend flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene. He screams about you in his sleep, and when he wakes does not but weep in terror of the one they call Jolene. Blackening the summer skies with burning wings and countless eyes, we tremble at the thought of you, Jolene. Jolene, 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 I'm begging you, please don't take our men. Jolene, 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 please don't take them just because you can. Teeth are sharp, your mouth agape, the claws rend flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene. About you in his sleep, and when he wakes does not but weep in terror of the one they call Jolene. Blackening the summer skies with burning wings and countless eyes, we tremble at the thought of you, Jolene. Jolene, 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 I'm begging you, please don't take our men. Jolene, 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 please don't take them just because you can. All right. For these harmonies, vocals, let's crack these open, and oh wait, no, that's going to be my low harmony. That's going to go down the middle. That's going to go there. And then my whisper is going to go up the middle. Let's listen to them real quick. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging you, please. Hate myself. Okay, let's go back over here, and what I want to do is throw on my SSL channel on everything right there. Do that. Jolene, 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 Jolene. And I'm just going to quickly dial in a very heavy compression on all of these vocals. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Because I do not want any of them poking out at all. Like, I just kind of want them hanging out in the background. Jolene, 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 Jolene. And that. This one right here is poking out worst of all. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. And we don't really want to hear that one. Ever. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging you, please don't take out men. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take. Cool, and let's go ahead and throw that de-esser on there. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging you, please don't take out. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Got that. That's cool. What's this? 1176 FET. Let's use that one. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging you, please don't take out men. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take them. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging you, please don't take out men. Jolene. Cool, that's feeling pretty good. And again, all I want to do right now is rough these things in. I'm going to have to do a whole lot more detail work, I believe. And we'll put a little eighth note delay on all of these. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Cool. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging you, please don't take out men. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take them just because you. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Okay, let's get to my hardcore vocal section in verse 2. And let me explain what this one is. So here's the sound. Here's me singing the part. I just doubled the verse, but I did it in voice.
Either sharp, your mouth agape, the claws red flesh, there's...
It's fucking stupid. Okay. This duplicated track is the same audio, but I took this pitch shifter and I detuned it an octave. And something cool happened with it, and it sounds really kind of wet, I guess, is how I would describe it. It sounds wet and juicy and alien and monster-like.
Either sharp, your mouth agape, the claws red flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene.
So, because we're doing like an H.P. Lovecraft version of Jolene, I thought this was a kind of interesting way to make it sound like an eldritch monster. And again, I'm a child, so it works for me.
Shut your mouth agape, the claws red flesh, there's no escape.
I need to compress the fuck out of everything.
Either sharp, your mouth agape, the claws red flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene. He screams about you in his sleep. When he wakes, does not but weep in terror of the one they call Jolene. Blackening the summer skies with burning wings and...
Okay. And I want to give it a little bit of EQ to get some ugly stuff out.
Either sharp, your mouth agape, the claws red flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene.
He screams about you in his sleep, and when he wakes does not but weep in terror of the one they call Jolene. Okay, and then I want to give it a little bit of distortion and just kind of zazz it up. So a lot of times I will use, where is it? Devil Lock Deluxe. And that's my fun go-to plugin.
Either sharp, your mouth agape, the claws red flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene. He screams about you in his sleep, and when he wakes, does not but weep in terror of the one they call Jolene. Blackening the summer skies with burning wings and countless eyes, we tremble at the thought of you, Jolene.
And lastly, I want to give it a little bit of a space around it.
Either sharp, your mouth agape, the claws red flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene. He screams about you in his sleep, and when he wakes...
Yeah, just that little 16th note delay. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy all of this. Boop, boop. Where's my vocal? There's my hardcore vocal. Copy you, and you, and you, and you, all the way over there, and then you.
Either sharp, your mouth agape, the claws red flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene. He screams about you in his sleep, and when he wakes, does not but weep in terror of the one they call Jolene. Blackening the summer skies with burning wings and countless eyes, we tremble at the thought of you, Jolene. Jolene, Jolene.
Okay, so we're getting... I don't want to add in these just yet. What I do want to do before I have to end today's session is get a little bit of bus processing going on all this stuff. Compressor, Shadow Hills. I don't know what... Yeah, I'll turn this one on.
Shut your mouth again.
I'm iffy on tape machines and stuff like that, but I do like that. That works. Okay.
Shut your mouth again. Shut your mouth again. The claws rain flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene. He screams about you in his sleep, and when he wakes, does not weep in terror of the one they call Jolene. Black and rootless summer skies with burning wings and countless eyes, we tremble at the thought of you, Jolene. Jolene, 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 I'm begging, please don't take our men. Jolene, 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 please don't take them just because you can. Shut your mouth again. The claws rain flesh, there's no escape from the... Your teeth are sharp, your mouth again. The claws rain flesh, there's no... Blackening the summer skies with burning wings and countless eyes, we tremble at the thought of you, Jolene. Jolene, 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 I'm begging, please don't take our men. Jolene, 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 please don't take them just because you can. Shut your mouth again. The claws rain flesh, there's no escape from the judgment of the Eldritch One, Jolene. He screams about you in his sleep, and when he wakes, does not weep in terror of the one they call Jolene. Blackening the summer skies with burning wings and countless eyes, we tremble days, that sets the earth and sky ablaze. Have mercy at the end of days, Jolene. Before her wrath no foe could stand, the corpses piled upon the stand, the blood of God.
Okay, so I'm going to leave off right here. I'll come back later. I've got a meeting that I have to go to very, very soon. So yeah, I don't know when I'm going to do the next one. I'll pick up probably tomorrow, but I think we're in a good spot to leave off. From here, it's adding in this stuff, doing some detail work, just like really fine-tuning stuff. You know, automating different sections. I want to do something weird in this little verse 3 bridge thing over here. Yeah. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, Dustin, and anybody else who was here. I'm going to get going. Bye.